Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show People of Distinction. The talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. I'm telling you, if you want to be a part of it, head on over to our website, peopleofdistinction.org for more info, or you can always email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And people, we are very excited to showcase this next guest, so sit back, strap in, and get ready for a wonderful ride. And on the line with us today, we have Karen Lee Stradford. And we're going to be discussing her amazing poetry book, Raw. Now, it's available for purchase through Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, pretty much wherever books are sold. But people, listen, if you want to gather everything that Karen has in store, head directly to her personal site. And that's Raw by KarenLeeStradford.com. There you'll find more information on Karen herself, more information on this wonderful book, as well as find hyperlinks set up to take you to the purchasing page. So one more time, that's Raw by KarenLeeStradford.com. And I will say, Karen was brought to our network by some of the best publishers in the business, okay? Media Literary Excellence, LLC. So if you or anyone you know have a book that they'd like moved, I'm telling you people, give yourself the best gift you could possibly give. Contact Media Literary and have their fantastic team move it for you. You can find out more information on them at MediaLiteraryExcellence.com. And listen, the moment you head on over to her Amazon page, her Barnes & Noble, her personal website, Raw by KarenLeeStradford.com, you start to do any research on her book, you know what we're discussing today. Okay, now as I mentioned to you already, it's a poetry book. And first and foremost, can I just be the first to point out how envious I am of poets, right? Of writers in general, because that was an art form that I was never gifted, right? I'm an actor and a filmmaker, so my creative talents are in a different area. But when it comes to writing and it comes to poetry, there is just something about the melodic rhythm that it often carries that I just, my father is a musician, so he is closer to that. He's a poet himself. And I've always been envious of poets in the way that they're able to formulate their words. Because again, it's just an artistry I was never given. So there's that first and foremost. But the underlying message of the book is something that I promise you can all get behind. Okay? Now it's really meant to help readers get through tough situations. Now, here's what's really interesting about it, right? Because through the reading of this book, and as you as the reader explore these poems and the poetry found inside, it's really going to help you look within, right? It's going to help you be honest about your feelings, not only to others, but also to yourself. And I think that is something that is profound because, listen, people, let's call a spade a spade. A lot of times I feel like we end up running from some things about ourselves that we might not necessarily like. Be it feelings, be it thoughts, be it actions, whatever the case may be. So to have this book that is, no pun intended, so raw and just in your face, how can you not just want to run towards it, pick it up, and learn everything that you can? It may be scary at first, but I promise you very beneficial. And at the end of the day, Karen is the expert. She's written the book. It's her emotions that help formulate the poetry. She's going to be able to articulate it much better than I ever could. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Karen, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today?
Hello. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, the pleasure is all ours. And we're really looking forward to this, Karen, and all the words of wisdom that we're going to be able to steal from you. Now, I know we have a lot of information to cover pertaining to the book. Before we get into it, though, I want to learn a little bit more about you and your background. So start there. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I'm an English special education teacher, English teacher at a high school. And I love my job. And I'm always teaching writing and poetry and just talking to the kids about, being just describing yourself, things around you, um, everything that has to pertain with the joy of writing.
Right.
So that's one of my kicks of my job. I love doing that. I have certificates in I'm a supervisory. I'm an LDTC. Um, Anything that has to do with education, I've just about done it. So, so it's been my pleasure to actually write a book and just to get my personal feelings out there, the things that I tell my students about. And Raw is about my raw emotions.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the title's about. And that's because of my father, who passed away last year.
So sorry to hear
last
that.
October. And, I miss him so much. And after he passed away, took it hard. It was very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a way for me to get my emotions out there, and it helped me with the grieving process of just writing things down and reflecting on personal things in my life, and I consider I had a good life. I have a good life. Mm-hmm. And, my father was a big part of that, my parents, and I just wanted to reflect. And then I started embracing, in my inner self. And I just wanted to share it. I don't believe in wallowing self-pity.
Right.
And I try to stay positive about everything. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to write my feelings down. And that's what Raw is about. Just my personal feelings and just different experiences in my life. And I just wanted to, it could be anywhere from an apology that I wanted to give someone, my fun at a concert, of anything that I could think of that I wanted to use it as. It could be a happy moment, or just just something that I just felt sad about that I wanted to express.
Right.
So, I just want people to see it as a challenge to look at themselves and just mention things that they just want to get off their chest.
Absolutely.
I just also, I even focus on the state of the world today, which is very upsetting. It seems like we live in this world right now where no one likes each other. Mm-hmm. So that's very disturbing to me. So I talk about that. So I just want people to see the book, read the book, and then look at themselves, and have something to share of their own.
That is a fantastic. First of all, thank you very much for sharing all of that, Karen. And listen, I think that's a fantastic explanation and really a great place to start, because I think your book offers so much benefit, right? And it's such a valuable resource from many different levels. First and foremost, with that underlying message, right, of really kind of not being afraid to just come out with it and acknowledge those things, right? And really be true to yourself, be honest to yourself first and foremost, as well as to others about your feelings, thoughts, whatever the case may be. And I love the fact that it really started as almost what it sounds like, is almost a cathartic / therapeutic experience for you in some of your toughest moments. And
yes, absolutely.
Right, and because of that, now we get to reap the benefits of the rewards. And of course, first of all, let me just say my sincerest condolences on the passing of your father. And of course, it's very sad that through such a traumatic experience, something so valuable would have come out of. But we are, of course, very grateful by the fact that it did, right? Because now we get to receive this gift that you've created. And I truly mean that. I do feel that this is a gift, Karen. And next question that I want to go into is, because I think it's safe to assume the answer to the next question. But you know what happens when you assume, Karen, so I'm not going to do that to you. I have you here on the line. Let's just go directly to the source. I want to go a little further in depth with inspiration. So we know where this book came from. But when we're talking about poetry, Talk to us about that love for poetry. Were you a fan of poetry growing up? Was this a hobby of yours? Talk to us about where that love for creative writing and poetry comes from.
So I would have to say my desire or love for poetry, I think it developed over time. Um, it's more, when you're writing poetry, it's more concise, like you're getting to the point of what you need to say. And I think that's what people need is just something that's to the point. And I just thought that would be a better way of, over time and doing it, it's more of a way to get your point across. And and it benefits better. I could have written a long, novel about my feelings, but I don't think it would have, really went over the same way.
Right. Yeah.
But, like what I said before, my father was a big inspiration, and he enjoyed me writing, the poetry. He enjoyed it. Actually, he used to watch me write, and he was very pleased. So I think of this, and I think of, this is making him happy, right, because it's like a tribute to him. So, I just want whoever thinks that they can write, or anybody could, write, but just to have some kind of enjoyment. And just, like I said, express yourself. There's nothing wrong with expressing yourself. I think the problem is that people hold their feelings in, and I think that's not a very therapeutic way.
Right.
You have to be able to just let things go, and that's what I try to do all the time. And even meditation, that's something that I find myself doing a lot too.
Fantastic. People, again, we're here on the line with Karen Lee Stradford. We're discussing her amazing poetry book, Raw. It's available for purchase once more through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or directly through her personal site, Raw by KarenLeeStradford.com. Karen, next question that I'd love to get into, and listen, my listening audience is going to get very upset with me if I don't hurry up and ask, okay? So let's move in this direction. We know that this is a poetry book. Karen, we would love to hear one of your poems. If you have one readily available to read for us, please.
Okay. Well, since I've been talking about my father, I would like to read the poem that I wrote for him.
Yes, please.
And I got to say, this poem is following his funeral, actually.
Wow.
So I wanted to share that one. Okay, it's called Daddy. All right. The light shines on your face as you lie in a cobalt casket. Your spirit simmers eternal. Our pleasant conversations over chock full of nuts, bagels, and scrambled eggs as Channel 2 News rouses the activities of the day. My fierce advocate, like a builder, preparing a difficult task. Your strength gives me comfort and guidance. As the sun continues to rise, your heavenly presence will forever stir throughout my life. So that poem, I believe, captures our relationship in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Not only, the first part obviously was following, the funeral.
Right.
But, every day, every morning, when I visited, he used to have breakfast ready for me, and as to say, we live, I don't live far from my parents. Yeah. So I stopped by in the morning, and he used to have breakfast ready for me. And he used to have Channel 2 News on. And we used to just talk. We used to talk before I went to work. And that, to me, was everything. Yeah. And every morning I still think of him in those moments. And then everything, him being like my protector. He was my biggest advocate, and he just made everything better in my life. And everything about him will forever be in my life, everything. So that is my tribute to my father.
Thank you very much for sharing. Karen, what would you say was a highlight for you in writing the book? Or if not a highlight, something that surprised you that maybe you weren't anticipating before you began?
I wasn't anticipating how many people already have come to me and told me that they read my book several times. Like they read it and then they went back and read it a few more times because it was something that they liked and they just wanted to read it again. And that to me was the biggest honor, to know that someone wanted to go back and reflect on what I wrote, what I wrote. So that to me makes me feel great.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, any artist wants to feel like their art is respected and appreciated. That's probably one of the biggest compliments that you could get, right? Someone saying that they went back and reread the book, right? That is impactful. I love it. I absolutely love it.
To a particular poem, and they'll say, "Oh, well, what did you mean by that?" And then that makes me feel like I did what I intended.
Right. Absolutely.
And I want anyone who reads it to be able just to go back and read it again. Maybe you read it the first time, but with anything you read, and like in my English classes, sometimes we discuss a particular book, and you read it, and then you go back and you read a passage, and it sounds a little different from when you read it the first time. So if that's what if you can get from it, that's perfectly fine.
Absolutely.
And I have had people say that to me, so that makes me feel great.
Karen, great segue that you've established. Who would you say is your intended audience with this book? And I know we've already started to touch up on it in varying degrees, but I think it's such an important notion that it's worth double downing and really repeating. So A, who would you say is your intended audience? And B, what is the main message that you hope that they receive from your book?
Okay. Well, my intended audience is anyone who needs to feel comforted. That makes sense. Like someone who needs to just to reach out and just who needs to feel good about something, and to know that it's all right to just embrace yourself, embrace your world. It's just, like I said before, I feel I'm a positive person. Right. So I feel that you need to just live, be heard, express yourself. That's what you need to do. Surround yourself by positive things.
That's key. Absolutely.
I try to do every day. Yeah. I'm not perfect, but you have to surround yourself by good things. Right. Try to surround yourself by good people.
Last question here for you, Karen. Listen, I can think of no better way to close out such a phenomenal interview as this one has been than with another one of your poems. I usually like to finish with a spiel or some reflection. It honestly doesn't even feel right to do that in this instance. So I'd love to close out with another one of your poems. If you have it available, myself, my listening audience, we are all ears.
Okay, I have another one I would love to read. And this is called Crisis. Okay. The world in a terrible state. Peace, love, and happiness is lost. Like a bumpy gravel road, life is difficult to maneuver. Negative vibes are ahead. At war with ourselves, weapons are everywhere as hate speech surrounds. The pain is killing us. People don't seem to panic. Civility, please show your friendly face before it's too late. And like I said, that's called Crisis. Right. And that is just showing how, we're so against each other now. Yeah. Everyone, it just seems like everyone has a weapon. You know, there's hate speech everywhere. No one is getting along, and it's so common that no one's panicking about it. You know, most people just go with the flow. No one says anything about it, and it's just, you know, I'm asking in civility. That's the person to show her friendly face before it's too late. Because, you know, when is it going to stop? You know, when are we going to start liking each other again? So that's the purpose of crisis.
Karen, listen, you hit it right in the head. I mean, your poems, and listen, people, we've only touched up on 2 of them. Okay? The book is littered with it. But in the 2 that we've discussed, there is relatable content, right? The imagery that's being discussed is so vivid. I'm telling you, this is what you need to turn to. Not only in some of your toughest times, but as she just said with this last poem, really more so as a reflection of where our society is and where we're going. Because I think when we start to bring awareness to it, true awareness, that's when we can start to dismantle some things that are happening. Because right now, I agree, I think things are getting to a dangerous point. Okay? You know where you have to go. I'm going to say it for you again. I know I don't have to, but let's repeat it once again. We're here on the line with Karen Lee Stradford. We just finished discussing her amazing book, Raw. And it's available for purchase through Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, or directly through her personal site, Raw, by KarenLeeStradford.com. It's a wonderful book to add to your shelf, an even better resource to add to someone else's. Head on over there today and pick up your copies. Karen, this has been an absolute pleasure, such an honor. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It was very exciting.
Come and be a guest with us on People of Distinction.